This is not a football game. It's not a World Cup final. This is the EuroLeague, the most intense basketball competition in Europe. It launched the careers of superstars like Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, and Luka Doncic. Sooner or later, they all joined the NBA. But in the future, they might choose to stay in Europe instead. Why?
During merchandise sales and other metrics like that, definitely.
Okay. What's the
A lot of
latest?
Wembayama jerseys.
A lot of
that I saw.
Wembayama jerseys.
Qualitative feedback.
Rightfully
Saw a
so.
lot.
Rightfully so. Yeah. What's the latest with NBA Europe?
An all-star game is even worse. The lack of effort that they have shown has been such a disgrace. I personally have no desire to be in attendance for it.
Everyone's arguing about the wrong thing. Seattle wants its team back. Las Vegas is counting its money. Mexico City is making PowerPoint presentations. And sports media won't shut up about which cities deserve the 31st and 32nd NBA franchises. But while everybody's been staring at the domestic map, the NBA has quietly been drawing up plans for something so ambitious that when people finally understand it, the word expansion is going to sound adorable. The NBA isn't just adding two teams. The NBA is building a global empire that will make them the world's second favorite sport behind soccer. And I'm going to show you exactly how they're doing it and why it's brilliant. So, let's get into it.
I understand there's some news this morning about the NBA possibly expanding into Europe. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's something we've been discussing for a while, and that is having a separate league in Europe. Basketball is the #2 sport in Europe after soccer. I mean, it's probably 300 million fans. Many of our top players are European. Roughly 15% of the league is European players. So that the quality of basketball is amazingly, high level there, but there hasn't been commercial success really ever for a league there. Each country has its own leagues. There's something that's pan-European. So we think there's an opportunity to come in, do something pan-European, have franchises in great European capitals like Paris, London, Berlin, Madrid, etc. So the opportunity is there. It's something we're looking very closely at with our owners right now. We've been out in the marketplace talking to some of the well-known soccer clubs who also field basketball teams, some of the biggest sports brands in the world. So there's tremendous interest. So it's something sort of in the next few months we're going to sort out. But I think there's a very good chance we're going to move forward with something there.
Okay. Now look, domestic expansion is still happening. Seattle and Las Vegas are almost certainly getting teams. Just recently, Brad Townsend said this: I think it's going to be an extra great year for Seattle and Las Vegas. I'm hearing NBA board and governors likely to vote on expanding by 2 teams this summer, and Las Vegas and Seattle are favored. Back in December, Silver said this: I think Seattle and Las Vegas are 2 incredible cities. Obviously, we had a team in Seattle that had great success. We have a WNBA team here in Las Vegas, the Aces. We've been playing the Summer League here for 20 years. We're playing our cup games here, so we're very familiar with this market. I don't have any doubt that Las Vegas, despite all the other major league teams that are here now, the other entertainment properties, that this city could support an NBA team. But here's what's fascinating. NBA owners prefer the global play over domestic expansion. And once you understand the math, you'll see why. When you add 2 domestic teams, you're diluting the player pool. You're adding competition for the same American audience, and you're splitting revenue 32 ways instead of 30. Think about one large pizza, and instead of 30 slices, you now have to slice it into 32 slices. And the money, it's growth, but it's incremental. But NBA Europe, that's a whole different calculation.
Yeah. What's the latest with NBA Europe?
So, I mean, as the commissioner said, we're in the exploratory phases of a potential league in Europe in collaboration with FIBA. Nothing's ready to be announced yet, but we're excited because we see the business potential there. We're the second biggest, basketball is the second biggest team sport in Europe. And the commercialization has not followed. And so we're actively looking at that, and we think we have the ability to be additive to that.
Here's what NBA Europe is not. The Lakers playing a home game in London, the Knicks setting up shop in Berlin, or LeBron doing a European farewell tour. Some half-baked plan to cram European teams into its existing 30-team structure. NBA Europe is a completely separate league. Think WNBA or G League, except from day one to be a money-printing machine. We're talking 12 to 16 franchises spread across Europe's major markets, billion-dollar franchise valuations, local European ownerships groups running the teams, NBA governance, NBA standards, NBA operational oversight, making sure everything looks and feels premium. And here's the kicker. The NBA itself will own 50% of the entire league. This isn't the NBA expanding. This is the NBA exporting its business model.
Commissioner Tatum, and he said this. I think it's a good way to kick it off. He said, if you look at, for example, Amazon Prime started off as a bookseller, and now they've gone into, you name it, into grocery. They're going into, obviously, video. So many different things. I'm not saying that we modeled this after Amazon, but that's the kind of example that we're thinking of, where the NBA brand right now is a basketball league and is obviously our core business, but we're thinking about what are the other new ventures and areas of the NBA brand we can get into. What's your reaction to Deputy Commissioner's quote?
It's obviously an excellent quote. The analogy to our business, our core business is basketball. But if you take a look, and Peter Guber, one of our owners, said this to me one time, it's like, we're actually in almost every business. Like, we're in some ways a digital media company. We are a live entertainment company. We're a ticketing company in some ways. We're a concessionaire in some ways, right? And so what we're trying to do, though, are find businesses that take advantage of the unique assets within our core and can develop adjacent businesses. And that's what Amazon did so well. And that's part of my role.
The NBA looked at its own league structure and realized, wait, we've built the most successful basketball product on earth. What if we just, I don't know, did it again in Europe and own half of it? It's so obvious in hindsight, it's almost funny nobody has tried it before. Now, the first time I explained this to someone, they immediately asked, why would NBA owners support launching a competitor that they don't even own? It's the exact right question with the exact wrong assumption, because NBA owners do own it, just not the way you think. Follow the logic. NBA team owners collectively own the NBA as an entity. The NBA will own 50% of NBA Europe. Therefore, NBA owners collectively own a piece of NBA Europe through their ownership of the league itself. It's like Disney stock when Disney opens Disney Europe. You don't individually own the European theme parks, but when Disney's enterprise value goes up, so does your stock. For NBA owners, this is the dream scenario. NBA Europe creates new media right packages, new sponsorship categories, new global tournament opportunities, and here's the beautiful part: zero dilution of existing NBA revenue shares. That pizza pie gets bigger, but your slice of the original pie stays exactly the same size. New revenue, no cannibalization, no dilution, pure upside with none of the downside risk. This is why owners prefer this over just adding 2 more domestic teams. The upside is exponentially bigger. And here's something most people don't realize. Those international showcase games aren't going away anytime soon. Far from it. They're just becoming more strategic. The NBA global games in places like Abu Dhabi and Mexico City aren't just for fans anymore. Berlin, London, Manchester, Paris, they're strategic market tests. When Commissioner Adam Silver and other executives travel for these games, they're meeting with potential investors and policymakers, using the events to gauge appetite and build relationships for larger projects, like NBA Europe. These games are the advanced scouts for the empire, paving the way for the permanent settlement. Now, here's the fear everyone has. Jokic gets homesick and goes back to Serbia. Luka decides he'd rather dominate in Slovenia near family. Giannis returns to Greece as a conquering hero. Wembanyama eventually goes home to France. NBA Europe poaches all the international talent, and the NBA becomes a lesser product. Except the economics make this impossible. And this is where you need to understand how NBA players' salaries actually work. NBA players get a guaranteed roughly 50% share of basketball-related income through their collective bargaining agreement. This isn't just some random number they negotiated. It's the foundation of everything. Here's how it works. Every year, the NBA calculates all the money coming in, TV deals, ticket sales, merchandise, sponsorships, everything. That's basketball-related income. The players automatically get 50% of that total pot. The salary cap is calculated based on this number. So, when the NBA revenue is $10 billion, players collectively get $5 billion. When NBA revenue grows to $12 billion, players get $6 billion. Their income is directly tied to league revenue, and the NBA generates more revenue than any basketball league on earth by a massive margin. NBA Europe will have lower revenue, at least initially. Maybe they pull in $2 billion in revenue. Even if they give players the same 50% split, that's only $1 billion total for all players to share. The math just doesn't work for star players to leave.
The EuroLeague. Money. The best paid player is making just $4 million, and the average of the league is around $750,000. Compare that to the NBA, where the average is almost $12 million. And to put it all into perspective, you could take the top 10 highest earners in the EuroLeague, combine their salaries, and it would still be less than half of Steph Curry's, who makes $63 million a year.
But here's where it gets interesting for the players who do go to NBA Europe. Right now, if you're a solid NBA rotation player making $8 million a year, you could go to EuroLeague and make maybe $3 or $4 million. You're taking a massive pay cut for less prestige. But NBA Europe changes that calculation because NBA Europe will have NBA backing. They can offer salaries that EuroLeague simply can't match. We're talking players making anywhere from 5 to maybe even 20 million a year eventually in NBA Europe. Not quite NBA money, but way more than EuroLeague can pay. So suddenly you're a Monte Morris type. You can be the 9th man on the NBA roster making $8 million, or you can be the star of an NBA Europe team living in Barcelona or Paris making $6 million, playing 40 games instead of 82, and being a local hero. That's a real choice. That's compelling. And for European stars like Nikola Mirotic, who never wanted to deal with the NBA grind, NBA Europe gives them a professional, high-paying option without leaving home. EuroLeague pays him maybe, $4 million? NBA Europe could pay him double that, maybe $8 million, to be the face of the Madrid franchise. This is why NBA Europe will poach EuroLeague's best players. It's not close financially, at least according to what the NBA thinks. Now, here's another angle nobody talks about. The Olympics. The NBA doesn't make money from the Olympics. Not a dollar. They send their best players, LeBron and Steph and KD, go compete for Team USA. The entire world watches, and the NBA gets nothing financially, a big fat zero in the revenue column. It's purely just marketing and goodwill. But a global NBA Champions League tournament? That's a property the NBA owns. That's media rights they can sell. That's sponsorship they can control. That's ticket revenue they can capture. This is why the NBA will absolutely prefer their own global tournament over the Olympics. And here's the brilliant part. They're already laying the groundwork to replace the All-Star Game. Look at just what happened. The NBA changed the All-Star Game format to USA versus the world. East versus West is dead. Now it's American players versus international players. I'll let my friend explain.
World, I'm Carmelo Anthony, and it's about that time. The NBA All-Star Game is right around the corner. We know the All-Star Game is always going to feature the most dynamic players. But this year, there's a twist. In the spirit of Olympic competition, we're doing USA versus the world. I'm going to explain how it goes down. You with me? First, the teams. This is going to be a 3-team round-robin tournament. One team we're calling the USA Stars. These are the younger generation of All-Stars. So you know they'll be ready to make some noise. Then you have USA Stripes. These are the OGs from the States who have earned their stripes. And then, of course, there's the World Team, a super team made up of the NBA's best international stars. Each team would play each other one time. The top 2 teams would play in a winner-take-all championship game, with the winner being crowned All-Star Game champs. Now, if the teams have the same record, we take it to the scoreboard. The team with the best points differential wins the tie. These games will only be 12 minutes long, so the action is going to be quick, hard-hitting, and high-flying. And of course, it's all taking place at the Intuit Dome in LA. So you know the stars will be out to see the stars. Pride is on the line, and an All-Star Championship is in the air. Which team is ready to grab it? It's NBA All-Star 2026. It's USA versus the world.
On the surface, people think this is just the NBA trying to make the All-Star Game more interesting after years of unwatchable 200-point games with zero defense. And sure, that's part of it. But this is the NBA testing the format. This is them conditioning fans to think globally. This is them building the framework for what comes next. Because right now, USA versus the world is still just NBA players. It's still basically an exhibition. There are no real stakes, but it's training wheels for the real thing. Once NBA Europe exists, this format transforms into something exponentially bigger. Instead of USA versus the world All-Stars, you have a 2-week global tournament in February where leagues compete. The top 8 NBA teams, the top 4 NBA Europe teams, the Basketball Africa League champion, and when NBA Latin America and NBA Asia eventually launch, because you know they are, their champions join too. All of them competing in a global knockout tournament with real stakes, real competition, and the best basketball players on earth representing their leagues. This becomes the NBA's World Cup. This becomes the crown jewel that generates billions in media rights and sponsorship, and it replaces a broken All-Star weekend that nobody cares about anymore. That's brilliant. That's the NBA thinking 5 moves ahead. And here's where the WNBA fits into all of this. The WNBA is the proof of concept. It's a separate league with NBA governance and standards that operates in the same ecosystem. The NBA doesn't own 100% of the WNBA, but they own the majority and they run it. NBA Europe is the same model, just scaled globally and with way more revenue potential. Sorry, that's not a shot. And eventually, you could see WNBA Europe, WNBA Africa, WNBA Asia, the same exact playbook replicated across the women's game. The WNBA isn't just the NBA's sister league anymore. It's the blueprint for global expansion. Because if the model works for the WNBA domestically, it can work for the NBA globally. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating from a geopolitics perspective. I'm going to let my friends here from Sports Biz explain to you a little bit about the EuroLeague. And they've done this video, which is a bit of a counter to the video I've got here, How Europe Stole Basketball. It's on YouTube. I'll have the link in the description. Please go check the video out. It's absolutely fantastic, which is why I'm using it here. But I will let them explain to you a little bit about EuroLeague, and then I'll come back into it. Let's go.
There are dozens of national leagues in European basketball, like the French LNB Elite and the German Basketball Bundesliga. Taken separately, no single national basketball league in Europe stands a chance at challenging the NBA's dominance. But together, by uniting the best teams of each league, the EuroLeague is a formidable force. The modern version was born in 2001, when the FIBA Super League and the EuroLeague merged. It's distinct from these national leagues. 12 of the teams are permanent members. Among them are teams connected to major football clubs, like Real Madrid Baloncesto, FC Barcelona Basket, and Bayern München Basketball. And in the last decade, the EuroLeague has been soaring. In 2014, the EuroLeague had a 27% increase in TV viewership and a 19% increase in attendance. Their biggest growth markets were Turkey, Serbia, and Greece. And in the 2022 to 2023 season, there was an accumulated 4.4 billion viewers of EuroLeague content, both on TV, streaming, or through social media.
FIBA and EuroLeague have hated each other for over 20 years. And I mean hated. EuroLeague broke away from FIBA governance, built its own independent power structure, and has spent 2 decades basically ignoring FIBA's authority, international calendar, and regulatory framework. For FIBA, this has been an open wound that's just never healed. So picture this. The NBA walks into FIBA's office with an offer that includes significant money, unified governance, global media distribution, and shared league standards. What FIBA sees isn't just a business opportunity. What FIBA sees is a weapon. They're going to use that weapon. They're going to use the weapon. The NBA becomes the enemy of FIBA's enemy, and suddenly that makes the NBA a very close friend. EuroLeague's structural problems become glaringly obvious when you look at them through an NBA Europe's lens. EuroLeague has fragmented media rights, deals across different countries, club-based ownership, where basketball is often secondary to soccer operations, salaries that can't compete with the NBA-backed money, no unified governance structure, and limited global brand recognition outside hardcore basketball fans. Think like what boxing has going on as opposed to the UFC. NBA Europe is designed to exploit every single one of those weaknesses. It will poach top players with superior salaries. It'll consolidate the media rights under one massive global deal. It will attract blue chip sponsors who want association with the NBA brand. And it will completely dominate prestige and cultural relevance. EuroLeague won't die overnight. Institutions that old don't disappear that fast. But its ceiling collapses permanently. It becomes a second-tier European competition while NBA Europe establishes itself as Tier 1 on top. And FIBA gets to watch it happen with a smile on his face because FIBA is like that. The enemy of my enemy just brought $1 billion and a global media strategy. Now, let's talk about the talent pipeline nobody saw coming. There's a reason age 16 keeps coming up in these discussions. That's when the best basketball prospects in most of the world enter professionalized development systems. Not college, not high school, professional training academies. The NBA already runs elite academies in Australia, India, Senegal, Mexico. This is Dubai. These aren't summer camps. These are year-round professional development facilities for teenagers. NBA Europe becomes the next obvious step. Academy to NBA Europe to NBA. This creates a vertically integrated global pipeline that threatens everyone that's not the NBA. The NCAA loses elite international talent who would rather develop professionally in Europe than play college basketball. The G League loses European prospects entirely. G League Ignite already shut down, but the principle stands for future development programs. And EuroLeague loses everyone. Teenagers, prime players, and veteranos, you know what I mean? The NBA is building a closed-loop system. Identify talent at 16, develop them in NBA academies, move them to NBA Europe at 18 or 19, graduate the best ones to the NBA by 21 or 22. At every single stage, the NBA captures the value. At every single stage, competing institutions can't compete. It's ruthlessly efficient, and it's already happening. Now, here's why the NFL could never do what the NBA is doing. The NFL is the undisputed king of American sports. But globally, it's a curiosity at best, a novelty act at worst.
In the first ever NFL game in Berlin. Well, this is part of the NFL's push to increase its fan base around the world. In 18 years, games have been played in 7 international cities with several more to come. And if Commissioner Roger Goodell gets his way, every franchise will play at least one regular season game abroad.
From Sao Paulo to London, Mexico City to Dublin.
Now in the first play in Dublin, he's got himself an NFL sack.
The National Football League is showing up on the international stage.
To the ground here, Gainwell is in for the Pittsburgh touchdown.
Next up on the NFL's World Tour, Berlin, with a fan base that's been building for decades.
American football is fundamentally trapped by its own nature. It requires expensive equipment. It has complex rules that take years of cultural immersion to understand. It needs massive infrastructure, and it's deeply embedded in American high school and college culture in ways that just don't translate internationally. And most importantly, it's just not familiar to the rest of the world. Plus, half of the race can't play it professionally. Basketball has the opposite profile on every dimension. You just need a ball and a hoop. That's it. The core rules are simple enough to explain in 5 minutes. It thrives in urban environments with limited space. It has deep cultural resonance across multiple continents already. And there's already established global infrastructure to build on. The NFL is trapped inside America by nature of its own sport. The NBA is building a global empire precisely because the sport of basketball allows for it. Will the NBA ever surpass soccer in global participation? No, that ship sailed decades ago. But in the categories that actually matter for business value, media rights revenue, cultural influence among urban youth, marketable global superstars, digital content consumption, the NBA has a legitimate path to becoming the world's #2 sport. And here's the thing that should terrify every other American sports league. No one else is even in the conversation. Not the NFL, not MLB, not the NHL. Only the NBA has the global foundation to build on. This is the NBA's strategic advantage, and they know it. Now, finally, let's just blow your mind what the in-season tournament is actually for.
Hey everyone, Blake Griffin here, and it's time for us to have a little talk, a little tournament talk, a little cup talk. I mean, you get where I'm headed with this.
Welcome to the Emirates NBA Cup.
It's the 3rd year of this tournament, but this is the first year the games will be streaming on Amazon Prime.
We here.
But this tourney is about to get bigger, better, and primier. I'm not sure if that's a word. Let's go through a refresher course on how all this works, shall we? First phase, group play round. All 30 teams put into 6 groups, 5 teams per group. Each team plays each other once to find out who can get the most wins and advance out of their group. Let's go. Those winners, plus 2 wildcard winners from each conference, move on. That means 30 teams get sliced to 8.
3 cups! Do not tell me that cup does not mean something to these players.
It's just a different energy when you walk into the building and you see those courts.
Next phase.
3 and 3, 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the knockout rounds.
High intense games. Happy to be a part of that. That was fun.
Prime will be the place to catch these battle royales. 8 remaining teams going head-to-head in single elimination games. That's a fancy way of saying win and you stay in, but lose and you go bye-bye.
Oh, yeah!
The next phase of this tournament, the semifinals. The location, Vegas, baby.
I'm ready to go right now. Let's go to Vegas.
That's right, kids. 4 teams battle it out under the bright lights of Sin City. It's high stakes, high drama. For the 2 teams who win their games, it's Hi Emirates NBA Cup Championship. Nice to meet you. The Emirates NBA Cup Championship features the last 2 teams standing and offers a chance for one to hoist the cup and be named the Emirates NBA Cup champion.
Man,
Almost nobody understands this. People assess over TV ratings. They debate whether it gives the regular season more meaning. They argue about whether players really care about the trophy. And they're all missing the entire point. The in-season tournament is a proof of concept. It's the NBA debugging a global tournament structure in real time. They're testing neutral site championship events, knockout tournament formats, trophy structures that matter, sponsor integration at scale, calendar flexibility, and manipulation. Once NBA Europe exists, the IST transforms into something exponentially more ambitious. The qualifying round for a global NBA Champions League. Picture this structure. The top 8 NBA teams make it through the in-season tournament bracket. The top 4 NBA Europe teams qualify. The Basketball Africa League champion gets a spot. And when NBA Latin America and NBA Asia eventually launch, because you know they will, their champions join too. All of them competing in a 2-week global tournament that replaces All-Star Weekend as the mid-season marquee event. This becomes the NBA's World Cup. This becomes the global crown jewel that generates billions in media rights and sponsorship because it's the only place on earth where you can see the actual best basketball players competing across the continents. This is why the IST format matters right now. The NBA is working out the kinks when the stakes are relatively low, so the structure works perfectly when the global version launches in 2028 or 2030 and becomes a multi-billion-dollar property. Everyone thinks the in-season tournament is about making December matter. The NBA is thinking 5 moves ahead. Here's what the NBA is actually assembling layer by layer right now. At the apex, the NBA itself, the 30 teams everyone knows, soon to be 32 at Seattle and Vegas, the Supermax contracts, the global superstars, the legacy franchises with maximum cultural prestige. This is the crown jewel, and it will always be. Below that comes the regional NBA leagues. NBA Europe is first, but NBA Africa is expanding through the Basketball Africa League, and future NBA Latin America and NBA Asian leagues are already being discussed in investor presentations. All of them will operate under shared NBA governance and standards. All of them will feed into the Apex League, the NBA. Below that sits the NBA academies, the teenage development pipelines in Australia, India, Senegal, Mexico, and expanding to more countries like Dubai. This is where the talent gets identified and shaped from age 16 on. And tying it all together at the top is the global NBA tournament, the NBA's answer to Champions League, where all these leagues compete against each other and the best players on earth face off regardless of which regional league they play in. This replaces the All-Star game and becomes the NBA's World Cup. This is completely unprecedented in sports history. Soccer is global because hundreds of independent leagues and federations grew organically over more than a century. Different governance, different standards, different business models, all loosely connected through FIFA, but fundamentally separate entities. The NBA is attempting to build a single, centrally governed global sports ecosystem under one brand in less than a decade. If it works, and the infrastructure deals, FIBA partnerships, and private equity positioning suggest it's already working, it fundamentally changes what global sports league even means. So here's the payoff. Here's what all this means. The NFL will remain America's king. That's not changing. The NFL will continue generating more domestic revenue, commanding higher TV rights, and dominating American sports culture for the foreseeable future. But the NBA is building something the NFL could never even attempt: a global empire. NBA Europe isn't expansion into new cities. It's the colonization, I don't know if that's a good word, of the global basketball economy under unified governance and brand architecture. It's the NBA looking at the entire world and saying, we're going to do here what we did in America, except this time we're going to own the blueprint from day one. If the NBA executes this vision, it won't just be America's #2 league anymore. It'll be the #2 sport on earth. And it will be the only American sports league with a legitimate claim to challenging soccer's global cultural footprint. The question isn't whether this is happening. The pieces are already moving. The partnerships are already forming. The money is already being raised. The question is whether you're paying attention early enough to understand what's coming. Because by the time everyone else figures this out, the people who understood it early will already be in position. The NBA hasn't officially announced NBA Europe yet, but the institutional groundwork is undeniable, and I'm going to be tracking every single development as this unfolds. If you want to stay ahead of this story and understand the business of sports and play before it becomes mainstream news, hit that like button, follow the channel, and subscribe so you don't miss a single update, because I do this. This is the business of play, according to Clay. Like, follow, and subscribe for more just like this. And let me know in the comments. You guys want to put enough money together, like a big old collective, get ourselves an NBA European team, Latin America, Africa? Which I want to do. Let me know in the comments. And is this better than the All-Star format? And who wins the first NBA World Cup? Peace.